Technical answer on Bitcoins is that Bitcoins is a remarkable cryptographic achievement. The ability to create something which is not duplicable in the digital world has enormous value.
And hard.
Had you asked me 5 years ago, I would have said it was impossible. Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies solve this problem of coming to a consensus globally.
It is an API for programmable cash and financial transactions. The most fundamental thing to come along since the underlying internet protocols like TCP/IP and HTTP.
Represents one of the most important technical and economic innovations of our time.
Technology is this incredible alternative to politics. The task in this world where politics has become so broken and so dysfunctional is to find a way to escape from it.
The completely decentralized protocol for doing money is here. It happened in 2008. It's not going anywhere.
It's hard not to be a little bit shaken when it goes on this long.
If you want to get involved in one of the most disruptive technologies and one of the most exciting technology spaces, one of the most amazing inventions in computer science of the last several decades, the key focus is decentralization. There's nothing to co-opt. There's nothing to stamp down. There's nothing to shut down or filter or control.
The problem with this community is that they haven't made up their mind whether they want to be anarchist rebels or they want to be the establishment and to replace all the fiat currencies in the world.
That dichotomy of viewpoint, of course, is exemplified by the United States, which hasn't been able to decide in a little bit over 200 years whether it was a revolutionary country bringing democracy to the world or a great imperial power like the powers of Europe.
Why is it so hard to grasp what Bitcoin is? Because it changes many of the fundamental aspects of money, and change is difficult. The experience of trying to explain Bitcoin changes over time. When I first started trying to explain Bitcoin, I was faced with denial.
Beanie Babies for 2013. I mean, it was...
Why are people buying this thing?
It feels to me like a Super Mario game where you go around and you collect the Bitcoin.
I mean, I have to admit, it's very hard to wrap your head around some of this and how it maintains its value.
I definitely don't want a virtual wallet.
No, exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Then we went into anger.
Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. This is not store of value. This is just a Ponzi scheme.
We already have a perfect, real form of money, and it's called gold.
It's similar to the internet in the early days when people talked about the internet being used for bad things.
You even said they're unconstitutional.
Yeah, it goes against everything that we believe in with our central banking system. I mean, I wouldn't want my money to not be insured. If somebody steals my credit card or steals my debit card, the bank covers that. I'm not responsible for that.
Well, now we've reached the stage of bargaining. Bitcoin is really disruptive. Bitcoin is really strange. Bitcoin is really different. So, let's try and polish it up. Beyond Bitcoin, unleashing the power of the blockchain.
What exactly is blockchain?
Blockchain, and it's the model on which Bitcoin, the virtual currency, is built. Is this the stuff of revolution?
At the forefront of this race to exploit blockchain are the financial institutions.
2015 is the year that major financial institutions started to take advantage of Bitcoin and crypto securities.
Huge amount of capital flowing in from Silicon Valley. There's also a lot of people, top brains from big banks and tech companies moving into the Bitcoin industry.
The NASDAQ essentially is working on creating this kind of decentralized systems.
The New York Stock Exchange is investing in Bitcoin companies.
It's incredible. The public doesn't know anything about this for the most part. Wall Street is just now discovering it.
So most people who use it are enthusiasts. There's a lot of computer people or nerds, as people call us.
Bitcoin is disruption. It's disruption on a scale that most people haven't even begun to imagine.
This was the dream of PayPal, that it would be sort of a currency outside of governments. The weak point of PayPal is that there was a central place that could be shut down.
The power of what this blockchain can become, venture capitalists see this, but even more exciting is the disruptive minds of entrepreneurs are seeing the power of this.
When faced with strategic, massive disruption of that scale, there are two places you can be. You can be Blockbuster or you can be Netflix. You can be BlackBerry or you can be Apple.
I'm sure people 10 years ago would have said, well, the bookstores will always be with us. And look at what happened to Amazon. Technology always finds a way to answer the problems that people have.
You're saying they're going to take out the middleman, meaning the banks, and I guess you would call them the clearinghouses. I'm fine with that.
A system that does not require intermediaries, that does not require trusted third parties, where there are only two parties in a transaction, the sender and the recipient, and there are no counterparty.
It's a currency that's not backed by any central bank. So that's the first thing you have to understand. Most currencies are backed by governments.
And some people would say that was actually a good thing.
What's happening in Greece and in Europe and with people starting to print money.
Central banks across the world pumping money into these economies.
We've had the incredible devaluation of paper currency over time.
What Bitcoin does is take that power away from the governments and give it to individuals.
The masses get access to information that, maybe the old system does have some flaws with it.
People are starting to have an awareness of what is money, where does money come from.
When you see something in the news like sovereign debt crisis, you start to look at other assets as a way to secure your money.
Bitcoin makes the dollar look like a dinosaur. Like there's been no improvement in our money in a very long time.
Around the world, some are seeking safety in an alternative currency known as Bitcoin.
Any kind of currency, especially an online currency in the 21st century, is going to have some volatility early on.
So part of the theory of the investment Bitcoin strategy is that it's a limited supply, and as demand grows, it will naturally lead to an increase in the price.
Having a currency that people believe in, no matter where it comes from, is where people go.
Just to give our viewers some perspective, there's about $4 trillion in currency trading every day. And as Michael said, it's about $1 billion worth of Bitcoins.
The potential upside for Bitcoin, it's enormous.
I own Bitcoin in my hedge fund. I own Bitcoin in my fund. I own Bitcoin in my private account.
If I was in Europe or in South America and all that, I would have, a certain amount of my asset class in Bitcoin.
When you look at the people that are putting money in, you can see that their vision is to take this infrastructure and blow it out global and blow it out to be a very useful function.
The great thing about covering technology, things come out of left field sometimes, and all of a sudden, it can turn into the next big thing.
Saying that Bitcoin is a currency is like saying that the internet is email. Currency is just the first application.
The equivalent of the red pill. Okay? We are entering a completely world of uncharted water.
It's a long journey ahead, but one of the ways you could look at it is the internet in 95 and 96.
A whole area of innovation that hasn't even begun yet. New possibilities around autonomous agents and the like become possible.
Incredibly useful for many, many computer applications.
You could almost say, on the blockchain, nobody knows you're a fridge.